Oh, everybody, welcome to the Banished Zone, show about flesh and blood with Bryn.
And with Chris.
And today, we are so tired from being at Pro Tour 3 in Baltimore, Maryland.
I just flew in from the Pro Tour, and boy, are my arms tired.
All right, shut this up. We're starting over.
You're supposed to put a laugh track in later.
Oh, we gotta put the drums.
Oh yeah,
the drum sound in there. I don't know how
maybe
it
played.
works.
Yeah, no, just in post to edit in some laughter, and it'll.
I'm not gonna do that.
Okay, well, we're here from the Pro Tour. We were in Baltimore.
As everybody knows, the Pro Tour Baltimore was this weekend, last weekend, I should say, and we were there, and it was a great time. I wanted to just right off the bat, just go right into it and say, wow, great Pro Tour.
Amazing Pro Tour.
Best Flesh and Blood event, I think. I mean, I know.
I was going to say, I don't think.
Far and away, the best they've ever had.
Yeah.
I only hesitate because I wasn't at France. I wasn't at Lille. I wasn't at Worlds.
Sure.
But
Worlds was in a tent. This one was not in a tent.
This one was not in a tent.
Had bathrooms inside.
It had air conditioning,
That's
unlike
true.
France.
It had heat or AC depending on the day.
Right. It was pouring rain one of the days, which was annoying.
That would have sucked if it was in a tent. God, the tent might get all wet on the outside.
Or just
leak.
You can hear it
Yeah.
No, no one ever talk about the tent again, because Flesh and Blood LSS has really upped their game.
They're entering a new phase. There's no tents involved.
We're entering a new phase, and the venue was just so beautiful. This big, interesting concrete ceiling, which made it have this not concrete cube feeling.
It was still a convention hall. It's still nothing crazy, but especially
I disagree. I mean, convention halls can be cool or not, and
sure,
this was one of the better ones I've ever seen.
Definitely.
I've been to a lot of comic conventions, and now I've been to a couple card conventions, and very rarely do you find a convention center that was this nice.
Yeah. It was nice,
picking
for sure.
this one made a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's true. But there was a lot of pushback of why are we going to Baltimore?
Why Baltimore?
I'm going to get robbed at gunpoint if we go there.
Right,
yeah.
which was so hilarious because we talked a lot on this show. We talked about with Saul Timmy, or we didn't have him on or anything, but online we were taking a hard stance of don't be a stupid American, don't worry about this kind of thing. But it was also really hilarious that it was a very middle class, moms pushing strollers, and there was bird scooters all over the city.
It was big banks and a Chipotle and a Starbucks and people walking around. And
it was middle America type city.
Nothing crazy was going on.
It wasn't.
The convention center.
Not to get too political, but class wise, it wasn't even there was a lot of homeless people. It wasn't even there was disarray. It was it was cleaner Philly.
Yeah. It was nice.
I feel more on my guard in Philly.
Sure.
than
Philly
I
has a weird energy.
Philly has a crazy energy. Let's not make people mad right off the bat.
Sure. Philly's cool. Baltimore's cool. Great location.
So just the venue was great. But on top of that, they had video screens.
Yeah.
All around the venue with the schedule, with the standings. They were turning, and you could see when everything started.
They had a big projector with the stream, so you could watch the Pro Tour. You could watch the event, which I remember is something that was really annoying about the last one. When we were going, I was I'm really excited we're going, but also a part of me also wishes I was at home, because then I could watch the coverage around the clock, and it feels weird because I'll be there. Based on the last Pro Tour, there was no coverage.
You can't do both, though.
There was not really a way to watch, even in the feature match area. They had cameras, but it was just kind of roped off, so you could peek. So it felt like you couldn't actually watch the tournament you were at unless you were at home. But this time they had a projector with a big screen, so you could go sit and watch the games. There was also
this amazing, cool design of two elevated walkways on either side of the. I took a picture that became a bit of a meme of Michael and Roger from the Manor podcast, with their little legs dangling like little kids.
Yeah.
Sitting on these things.
Yeah. You could stand over them and watch the feature match.
Cool lighting umbrellas above it, and the feature matches were visible. Like unlike in the past ones where you had to like sort of stand and hope to see, but like you could really just like stand there and watch from a bird's eye view the gameplay.
You could see one person's cards. You could see the life total. And also it seemed like it's probably nicer to be in the feature match area because there wasn't like a crowd of people on the floor nearby you trying to crane their heads and watch. It was people above you. I'm sure it still is stressful and you feel very on display with cameras and spectators and stuff. But
yeah,
it looked nice.
But that's, you're in the top 8 of the Pro Tour. You're going to be stressed. Or
just you're in a random round and they put you on camera,
Sure.
But yeah, it looked like more chill to play in and not be crowded. It was really cool to be able to watch it.
There was more artists this time. There was 3: Steve Argyle, Mark Poole, and somebody whose name I can't pronounce.
Yeah, I don't remember their name.
But there was a nice little artist alley. It was still small, and I wish they could get more, but I'm sure that's very expensive.
Sure. Because they have to, I assume, pay the artists for their time and for their transportation and all that stuff.
I'm not really sure.
Maybe there's some artists that are not enough of a name to
have the whole. Yeah, that's true.
For them, for it to be worth it for them to go to a convention like this, maybe they're just too busy working to come to some. I don't really know how it works exactly.
But that was cool, and then also there was panels.
That was really cool. Yeah, there's so many little. I forgot about that. Yeah, they had a little stage.
They had a whole big stage with chairs for watching it. And every morning, James White, if you weren't playing in anything, James White was there doing Q&A.
Federico did a panel. There was a cosplay panel. They had a bunch of different
Carolina
stuff.
did a panel. There was a ton of little events that if you didn't want to play and you just wanted to sit down and be entertained, you could do that.
Yeah.
Obviously there was all the vendors, and then there was just the normal sort of side events, but even the side events were just running on time.
Everything felt like it ran on time.
Everything was in gem.
Remember at the first calling we went to in Jersey, we got there and then it was I think it was 30 minutes before they actually got the rounds paired. They were I don't know, it just felt like when Channel Fireball ran an event, it was always there was no one in charge. Everyone was I don't know what's going on. I guess we'll figure it out. It just felt like this very very lazy.
It was a very ramshackle,
the bare minimum, because it's not there's really anything, when you consider the expense of everything going on, you got to pay all the casters, you got to pay for, what did somebody say, a weekend of casting equipment and stuff costs? It's
a professional one is $200, $100,000.
Right. It's many thousands of dollars for the cameras and whatever, renting the hall. It's it's already a lot of money. So it's not it's that much more to set up a stage. But Channel Fireball is just well, we don't literally have to do that for this event to happen. So we absolutely refuse to.
Right.
And that's what it feels like.
I mean, Star City Games, I always preferred. They did the world premiere in Vegas.
Oh, that was an SCG? Oh, okay. I forgot about that.
That was SCG.
Okay.
I believe.
I remember liking that one.
It was a little better. It was smoother. So the 3 events we've been to have been significantly smoother each time. First was Channel Fireball.
Yeah.
Dog shit, absolutely terrible. Rest in piss, Channel Fireball.
Yeah, terrible. The Battle Hardened we went
as
to
an event organization, if you ever worked for them or whatever, no shade or anything, but
I'm sure your boss was a cheapskate. He wanted to cut corners and squeeze as much money out of people as possible.
They don't exist anymore anyway. eBay bought them, and fuck eBay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was it just ran really smoothly. Everything was there was aesthetic touches. There was clear thought. For example, we didn't bring one down.
The map.
There was maps. I'm sure you've seen pictures of them on Twitter. Maybe I'll try and post a little screenshot right there.
Oh yeah. 9 minutes. You'll remember 9 minutes.
No, I won't.
I will.
Post a little screenshot of it right here.
Yeah,
but it was a map of the event space, and it was done in the style
of the world map, right?
Of the World of Wraith, and it was like Elden Ring. It was it wasn't exact, but it was okay, well, if I want to go to the artist alley, it'll be over here, and then there was a schedule on the back.
Yeah.
And that's just little touches like that I've always wanted. Also, every number had the Flesh and Blood logo on it for the tables.
Yeah.
They put a little zhuzh on it, and it makes it feel much more special and much more fun. And, it's the same kind of... I'm not a Disney adult.
Sure.
I don't care. But Disney did invent a lot of great stuff that is about creating experience and feeling like there's a magic behind things.
Yeah, I feel like Channel Fireball was like, this is the DMV, and the like, instead of getting your driver's license, you're playing in a tournament. So it's like, we have some bored, underpaid people who are like, okay, let's do the checklist of stuff to have this tournament run. They don't really care if it's super on time, and they're not doing anything extra. No one at the DMV is like, there's not like cool pictures of cars on the wall or whatever. But this was like, they did a lot of stuff that they didn't have to do just because it would be cool. So it felt like they had enough people working on it to get everything to run correctly and smoothly, and then also have extra time and energy to be like, what's something that would just be cool? What's a cool idea? And I'm sure LSS was involved in that as well, because they had more, because that was another thing, is that they had a whole live blog of the tournament.
Oh yeah,
and like live standings, and I think that was partially LSS. I think it was
that was all LSS.
That was Alex, and I think
like according to the tweet that they said to be like, shout out to Alex Norville and a very small team that he had working with him to do that live blog. And they were like putting up that stuff as it was happening, and then they were also finding time to doing like putting up videos on their YouTube page.
Yeah, they were like taking videos. They were like doing little interviews with the players as they were like getting things going. It was really cool. Like I remember we were driving back to New York that evening, and I was looking at the blog, and I was looking at like the top 8 coverage, and I was like, wow, somebody wrote like a whole like prose narrative describing the final game.
Yeah.
And I was like, when did they do this? Because it was well written. It seemed like cleanly edited and everything, and it just like described all the moments of the game like it was a story. It was really crazy.
Yeah. Really, really impressive. Just on mostly like every level. Like I think
like huge and small levels. It's
I
like
mean, obviously I can imagine even more Disneyfication of these kinds of events. Like you can always, the sky's the limit. Like if you have endless money.
Sure. They can have James White and Typanis cosplay all day or something.
Or just like, you can have like, big banners on the walls.
Yeah,
and you can have like cool lighting, and you can
music
have
or something, like a little band playing lute or something. Who knows?
You can really deck things out, put carpets down, pathways, and make every.
What if they had a red carpet up to the feature match area?
You could have every vendor booth like sort of wooden, like it's in Aria or whatever. Like you could go.
Oh man, that sounds so fun. I'm sure we'll get there.
I don't know if you ever will, because I mean, like even Magic has never gone. Like they're not a Disney company, but
I guess it's also like for a tournament, you want to put the money into the prizing as well, because there was definitely bigger prizing for the calling and the Pro Tour than there have been before.
And we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like but I do think that in James's head, that's what he wishes he could do.
Like you walk in and you're just in the Everfest carnival, and there's
exactly.
Like, I'm sure
you're in some sort of world that you are competing in. It's a whole different thing. And it's definitely, I don't want to give the wrong impression. It wasn't that.
No.
Like it wasn't, you knew you were in a convention center. Although I will say the ceiling went a long way to make you feel like you were in a cool space.
A little detail and not just like a huge expanse of concrete. Yeah, it was nice. I liked hanging out. It was like being center.
Like when I looked up at the ceiling, I thought of like the round table hold in Elden Ring more than anything else.
Interesting.
Like more than like it wasn't. I
wish you could have just warped in there. That would have been nice.
Right?
Warp back home and go to bed.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the Sistine Chapel or anything, but it was cool. It had a nice feel. And that, to me, goes a long way to make me want to go, want to be tired and hungry and, put myself through matches.
Yeah.
And be around people and have, I mean, I'm a big social butterfly.
Sure, yeah.
But I think it really helps people do the stuff they want to do. And I just wanted to spend the first couple minutes of the podcast really just applauding and praising LSS, and to whatever extent Star City Games was responsible for that.
Yeah. Seemed like they both stepped it up a lot. And it definitely, I remember like people saying that at Worlds, LSS was like really mad, and I feel like that was the beginning of the end of like working with Channel Fireball, because they were like, what is this venue? Like there was a whole thing with the mats.
I thought that was Star City Games too.
No, Worlds was Channel Fireball, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. There was also the whole thing with the mats, where there was like a thing that was like a special mat only available in person at World, and they were like, we just put them online and sold them. Who gives a shit? Like just like such disrespect.
Yeah, to the game and to the people and to the players and to like they just didn't care. And
no, we just sold them. They're just mats. Who cares?
Right.
Yeah.
And but that's another thing. It's just like all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to even mention how much stuff went right because it's stuff that you would expect to go right. But
Sure.
in comparison, like you got the sleeves, you got the mat, you got your promos. It was easy.
That's true. The check-in. Oh man, I kind of forgot how long the calling check-in took last time.
Yeah.
It was like
it was like Pro Tour 1?
At Pro Tour 1, yeah, because we checked in on like the day before the calling and played some side events, and we weren't even there early. I feel like we got there at like 11 or noon or something, and it took like 30 minutes. Like, weren't we waiting in line forever to like get our stuff? Because they didn't have enough people working on it. It was disorganized. They didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, they knew that people were going to show up around the time that the fucking... Because it was Friday, and there was nice, the Pro Tour was starting.
Right, the Pro Tour was already starting, but then people could show up and play side events and stuff.
Right. People want to play the side events. So if you signed up for them online... Also, I don't remember it being that easy to sign up for anything online.
It was like, kind of. It wasn't the worst, but like, I feel like maybe it was easier at this one. I don't know.
Everything felt so easy. Everything was so smooth. Just want to give a little shout out. My personal praise to LSS and Star City Games. Yeah.
That's a banished endorsement. Good job.
Pro Tour 3, good time. You should have been there if you weren't there. And I mean, I can only hope that this means that 4 Worlds, Nationals in the future.
Sure.
Nationals is hard because there's 40 of them at the same time.
Totally, yeah. I think SCG did Nationals in the U.S., and some of our friends who went said that like it was well done and it reminded them of old like Magic SCG events.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, it's like it is weird because in every other country, it's just like whatever tournament organizer can do it there. Like, remember in Australian Nats last year, people complained that there was like not room for your mat on the table or like room to move your elbows.
Yeah.
Really, like they had just like a tiny hall. I think Canadian national, like I remember like the like
wasn't Malaysian Nationals like 60 people?
Well, that's the thing.
It was like really small.
Some countries don't have a huge contingent of Flesh and Blood players. Some had like 12, I think. I think it was like Vietnam maybe was like a Blitz Nationals, and there were maybe like 20 people playing. Which is there are countries where it was just like open entry. It was just like if you want to play, sign up and
play a national,
become the national champion.
Yeah, I mean that's cool.
But yeah, it's like LSS can't possibly run every one of those. Yeah. So it's down to the individual like whoever they contracted out to or whatever in those countries.
Sure.
But yeah, hopefully.
And that's okay. You know, like you can't have every event be the premier event.
Right.
But, we're going to have Worlds in Europe.
In everyone's favorite city, TBD.
TBC. Yeah, which we don't know yet. I don't even know. We don't even know where Nationals is going to be. But, James has been like, trust us, we're trying, we're getting there. And this really felt like, I personally was like, okay, I believe you. Like, they seem like people with a good head on their shoulders and good hearts. This was like a culmination of all the things they were talking about, where it's like, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make this an experience, a Disney level event.
Yeah.
And while they do have a long way to go before it's a Disney level event, if they're ever actually trying to do something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or if it's even possible.
I would not put anything past like
it was getting pretty imaginable.
I feel like there's no limit to James White's ambition, considering like the amount of ambition he has for like how long this card game will last and how popular it'll become.
That man is wearing white pants in April.
Yeah.
There's nothing can stop him.
Yeah. His collar is popped. He's ready to face whatever comes.
Yeah. So how was your beautiful Pro Tour?
It was fantastic. I had a lot of fun. We drove down with some friends Thursday night. We got an Airbnb. So we got in like pretty late, crashed at the Airbnb. Friday morning, we got there kind of early, right? Like to like play side events and stuff, because there were some side events we wanted to play at like 10. So we basically had to get there early.
I wanted to play in the Welcome to Wraith or the Alpha Draft qualifiers.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to play in all of them I could.
Yeah, I forgot.
And I think the first one was at 11.
Okay.
I think we got there at 10:30.
Okay, something like that. Or maybe it was at 10 and we got there at 9:30.
I also had terrible allergies all weekend. I've been stuffy and runny and sore throaty My eyes are burning. It's still happening.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not over whatever
Damn.
it is. But so I was exhausted. I started the weekend off immediately exhausted. It's Friday. I'm already tired.
Yeah, and it's like you're only going to get more tired from going so hard all weekend.
So I wanted to play in the CC, and then I dropped.
There was like a blitz or there was like a draft. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, it was a sealed. It was. It started to be sealed
and then CC because I was playing in the CC one.
Chris wanted to play CC.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to practice my deck a little for the calling.
Right. So he did that, and then he did the Super Armory and lost like one game all day.
Yeah, it was 3 rounds in the like regular. I think it was CC plus, so you got extra tickets or something. I went 3-0 in that, and then I played in a Super Armory, which went 4 rounds, and I lost 1 game in that. So it felt pretty good. I was playing a deck that was like relatively new. I mean, it's only existed since Outsiders, which was
a Lexi deck.
Yeah, the Fuseless Lexi that I'm sure everyone has seen a variation of because it's the new menace. It's the new best deck.
It's the big guy.
And that
he's the one to beat.
That was very fun because I forget if we actually have talked about like our favorite heroes and how we got into the game. I think at the beginning of the show, but
yeah, I think so. People, old heads and people who like the show will remember that Chris's first deck that he ever built and played was Lexi.
Yeah, I built it in Blitz when I first was gonna play CC. I was like, I guess I'll build a Lexi CC, and I only really dropped it when I started playing other like more on meta decks. I started playing Briar, I started playing Fi and CC, played a little Icelander. So I had Lexi around, and I think after Dynasty, I'd like rebuilt a deck and played it some. It's definitely like the deck I have the most fun playing, like the hero I have the most fun playing. I think it's the coolest cards. Like aesthetically, I like all the stuff the most. Like I just love how Arya looks. So
yeah,
it was very cool to have a deck that I like, a hero I'd played a lot, have a bunch of new cards, and like put a deck together. Like
you played Lexi in the first Pro Tour 1 calling.
I played in that calling, yeah, and I was shocked to get any wins because like at that time I had played like 10 games of CC, 4 of them the night before practicing at Action City with our friends just to like have any reps. Like I played against Starvo and was like, okay, I could theoretically beat Starvo. But yeah,
theoretically, sure.
Yeah, Lexi is a whole new deck now. There's a lot of new arrows and shit in Outsiders.
There's
and
Codex.
The Codex of Frailty, the Codex of Inertia, there's Quivers. There's all kinds of new hotness. And I was definitely not alone. It was the most played deck in the Pro Tour.
Oh, yeah.
Right, it was Lexi. I think maybe most played in the calling. But yeah, I barely dropped any games. I think I dropped 1 game to a Bravo that day who just kept hitting me with pummels. And I was like, okay, that's 2 red pummels. I've seen the top like quarter of his deck. Surely he doesn't have another red pummel. And it's like, oh, he does. Okay. Oh, now he's dominating. Now he's dominating again. Now I'm dead. It was a good game. He played it well, and he...
you were just trying to race? Like you weren't blocking?
I was blocking some, but I was not blocking as though he had a red pummel every time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, yeah, it felt good. Played side events, got a bunch of tickets. Felt like, okay, this deck that I have... You know, I had like a few dozen reps on like that version of the deck, and I'd made some tweaks and like sort of theory crafted different matchups, but not really like a ton of experience. And I think that's how a lot of people felt in this meta because Outsiders newly came out and like shook the meta up. Everyone's like, Azalea is good now, Lexi is good, now Icelander sucks because she's bad into Rangers. Maybe now Oldham has to change and he's less good, and like no one really knew what was going to be. Everyone was like, Dramai will be good because she's good against Rangers. So it was all this sort of like theoretical positioning of where decks were. So yeah, felt good. And then the next day we went and did the calling. And how did the calling go?
You went 5-3.
I did go 5-3. I won my first round to a Briar. I lost my next 2 other Rangers. I lost to an Azalea and a Lexi. And then I won out from there until the very last round, which was a win and in to make day 2. And I lost to a Lexi Mirror in a very, very tight one. I had him at like 5 life. So
such a heartbreaker.
It felt fantastic, honestly, to do, because at the first calling I did, you know.
Yeah, but you're a positive guy.
Sure.
I would be pretty pissed.
To not make day 2?
Yeah. If I had a win and in and I lost, I'd be mad.
Sure. I mean, I wanted to make day 2, but I also, I did also kind of want to play the Battle Hardened the next day, which is like part of my plan was like, hey, there's another event I want to play. It was a Blitz Battle Hardened, so the last chance basically to play Icelander in Blitz, because she's going to Living Legend in, 3 more days, I think, like the end of this week.
Is it the May 5th that the ban is
I think so.
Suspended things come out? Yeah, so we won't be able to talk about that.
Yeah. My guess is no changes, because should we talk about who won all the events at the at the Pro Tour.
Sure. You went, what, 7-2 at the Battle Hardened?
I did, yeah. So the next day I played in the Battle Hardened. I was a little, not torn, but like...
Torn?
I'd woken up early to play events on Friday and played the calling all of Saturday. Both nights I was like super exhausted, but I was just like, I'm going to write out my deck list. I'm going to wake up. I think I can go to the Battle Hardened.
Well, we had our friend, Mr. Alex Patak.
And also our friend Brad, who made day 2
right.
of the calling,
Alex
which was
Patak
awesome.
Went, I think in the end he went 10-3. He was 26th place in the calling. He made $300 on Meat Axe Rhinar.
Yeah. His own combo brew of Meat Axe Rhinar that uses Berserk to deal. It's Berserk, right? That's the card.
Berserk. Well,
dealing huge amount of damage.
It's got Berserk. It's got Sand Sketch. It's got Blood Rush.
Right, and then everything else is a 6-power attack.
It is not. Yes, it is not mid-range.
It's not value.
It's not value. Yeah. It is go crazy on your ass and destroy you, and he fucking did it.
He did it a lot, yeah. And he made day 2, and he kept on winning, and he was
he beat Majin Bay.
Oh yeah, on Kano. I think he also said
he was like, I'm a big fan because he's a big Runeterra guy.
Yeah. I think after day 1 he was like, Majin Bay was the only person who wasn't really mad after I beat him with Rhinar. Because I can imagine like running into Rhinar and then he does some 25 damage combo and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Why is this build of Rhinar in the calling and why is it beating me?
Right.
People get mad if you're like not playing what like the expected meta deck is.
Sure.
Which is funny that people are like, all right, I'm building this really good deck. It's the best. It'll beat anything as long as it's within the confines of what I expect.
So it's right in between the mid-range and the
Fatigue Oldhim, regular Azalea, regular Bravo. I'll beat it all. But if you bring anything weird,
the toy piano and above the race car.
So partially I was gonna walk, or I got a ride with Alex because he had to get there at 9 a.m. for the start of the calling day 2, I think.
Right.
So I had to get there at 10 for the Battle Hardened. So I got him some coffee and a little sandwich from Starbucks for him to fuel up before his round. And and then I played the Battle Hardened, which I am glad I did because it was very fun. It was
you crushed him. You were like 4-0 at some point, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if we've talked about the calling had something like 900 people playing in it.
Yeah.
And so it went 13.
It was the biggest calling ever.
It seemed like it. Yeah.
It was 900 plus. Like they didn't say the actual.
And so it was 13 rounds, like 8 on day 1 and 5 on day 2. The Battle Hardened I think was 337 players.
Gosh.
So it was 9 rounds of Swiss of Blitz Swiss. And the Battle Hardened I wasn't sure what to expect because it was
Slit
Swiss. Because like I was playing Icelander because it's sort of the conventional.
It's the best deck.
It is by far the best deck in Blitz. So good that it crushed skirmish season. But I was sort of expecting like, well, people will play a lot of different stuff because it is like a Blitz Battle Hardened and people like to play their favorite decks.
Sure.
So the first few rounds, someone, I don't remember who it was that we know locally, maybe Michael Fang, had said that like to them going to a calling, the first round of a calling felt easier than playing in their like local armories in Jersey.
Absolutely.
And this was the first time, especially in the Battle Hardened, that I really experienced that. No shade to any of my opponents, by the way, but the first couple rounds, I played a Rhinar and then a Kasai, and then I think I played 2 Icelander mirrors. And in all 4 of those games, it felt like, man, I've played much, much trickier games and like harder wizard mirrors at like local armories or local skirmishes.
Well, New York is crazy. New York is
very competitive. Yeah.
I can't think of the. It's like the trials area in Hollow Knight. It's like where you go to test your mettle.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other big cities that also have like a lot of good players. But
totally, yeah. There's definitely places that have. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, I mean, it's the same. Like when we first played in a calling, I'm sure we felt like that to the more experienced players. Like,
exactly.
I was like, I'm going to play in this calling and lose every round because it'll be cool to have been a part of it.
I was playing freshly banned Skeletor Viscerai.
Just like
I was playing Trump era Viscerai.
You were playing neutered Viscerai. So it seemed like people were doing the same thing in the Battle Hardened. Some of them were just like, I'm just going to play a deck and have fun. And that was interesting because it's sort of like I could very noticeably feel the like quality of play and deck construction improve as I went, because I went 4-0, and so the first 4 rounds it was like it just felt like my deck was built better. It was net decked better, because I didn't make it up myself or anything.
That's not true. You've changed a couple.
I tweaked a couple spicy things. Yeah,
that's an interesting thing about this game is that you can't really net deck. You can't really not net deck
for certain decks, especially. Yeah.
Is my feeling like you know, you can add a little spice here and there, but very rarely are people making like full on, this is my own new archetype that I made up. Like, there's only like 2 or 3 for each hero.
Yeah, depends on the hero. Some have more, but some are like a lot more focused in what they can do, like Azalea.
Right, exactly. Like there's like Iris Dramai, and there's Big Dragon Dramai, and there's like, Redline Dramai.
Yeah, it's kind of those 3. It's like,
and that's it.
There's
like no one's being like my crazy spicy, like you know, even the
Sea Monkey Dramai,
even Mara's shit. Like it was sort of in between one of those. You know, like you go 1 or 2 cards difference, but like I don't feel like you can really like be like, stupid net deckers aren't making up their decks. It's like, what do you want?
Sure. Yeah. No, it's not to say
there's
that
only
like,
a couple of ways to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, it just felt like the cards that were in my deck in those first 4 rounds, and like how practiced I was on the deck, made it relatively easy. And then when I got to round 5, I think I lost round 5 and 6 to Icelander Mirrors. And at that point I was like, oh, now these people's decks are almost exactly like mine. They know how to pilot them better. Yeah. And they're really playing to win. And then they both, like, I probably made mistakes. It definitely felt like 2 better pilots on the deck. One of the people who beat me, a girl named Erica, who I think is from Sweden, ended up top 8ing the Battle Hardened.
Oh, wow.
So then after that, after a couple losses, which I think I was essentially dead to top 8 at that point, because you needed to have 1 loss or maybe 2 losses at the very end. But I wanted to keep playing because I wanted the XP. It was a 6 times XP multiplier, and they were blitz games, so they were quick and easy. But then after that, at 4-2, I ended up winning out the next 3 games to 7-2. I think I beat... I got a bye where someone who was on Icelander came up to the table and was like, "Are you Chris? It's your lucky day. I'm dropping the tournament so you can get the win." So I got a free win and had a hot dog. And then I played a Prism and then a Briar at the end and managed to win both of those. So I went 7-2, ended up in 23rd place in the Battle Hardened, which if you're in 16th to 20 or like 9th to 24th place, you got 500 prize wall tickets. So I didn't get any money, but I got a little prize tickets for my trouble. I got a lot of XP, and it was really fun.
It was a great time. I did nothing. I played in the calling.
You played Uzuri, right?
I played Uzuri, and I think my big thing was that I wanted to play a lot of things. I was just like, I was like, oh, wow. I like this commoner thing for the World Guide.
Oh, yeah. A lot of like different events. Yeah,
this UPF game. So I spent like all week making different decks.
Yeah, you built a UPF deck. You built a commoner deck.
I made an Ira commoner deck. I made a Yoji UPF deck. Based off of people from the Discord. But you know, I had to like find all the cards and put them together and
totally.
Them
Yeah,
up
it took a while. You didn't even really have a chance to like practice your commoner deck.
Didn't really.
We had ambitions.
What?
I was like, I'll build a commoner Dash and commoner Oldham, and we'll practice and see what's good. And then we like just did not have time. So much other stuff to prep and get ready and stuff.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I think if you know. My Uzuri deck. Also, Uzuri was a weird choice, you know, like it would have been pretty crazy if I did very well or anybody did very well with Uzuri. Yeah. Let alone me, someone who like barely practiced. So I wasn't really planning. My plan was to maybe hopefully win 1 in the calling. And
it was also
drop.
The UPF event was happening the same day as the day 1 of the calling, right?
Yeah.
So you were basically like, I really hope I'm not doing well because I want to have it be an easy decision to drop and then play the UPF event.
Yeah. And then the UPF event went till like 9 p.m.
You were grinding it out with Yoji.
And I was so tired.
When everyone else had already left, yeah.
And so I didn't play the Battle Hardened. But that's okay because the UPF event was by far one of the funnest things I've ever done in Flash and Blood.
It sounded awesome. I wish I could have done that too.
It was so fun. And I want to say, like, I'm a person, I really like winning. Like, I don't really consider myself a Spike or whatever. Like,
yeah, you're not quite Spike.
But I don't want to play. I can't not care. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be like, nah, I don't give a shit. I'll play whatever. I'll play something broken that I know I'm going to lose on. Like, I want to try, and I want to try to win. Yeah. Especially when there's good prizes, you know? Like, sure, I want a gold cold foil silver palms.
Yeah, a very sweet prize.
That one's so weird. Gold, silver, cold
it should really be a silver palm, or maybe they should be called gold palms instead of silver palms.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I want that. Sure. And it's like if I can have it, like I want to try.
Yeah.
So I built this fun Yoji deck. One of the things I was really excited about was hanging out with everybody. I got to meet Logan from Flesh and Blood, Logan and Derek.
Flesh and Pod.
From Flesh and Pod.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't mention anyone that I got to say hi to.
I got to say hi. Flake was so busy we didn't get to actually hang out with Flake, but love you, Matt.
I got to talk to him for a couple minutes.
Yeah, I got to hang out with him for a second, but he was just so busy.
Yeah.
Unlike, Tall Timmy was also busy, but we hung out a lot.
Yeah, he was playing Blitz all day.
Gary and Tommy Fresh from the Bud Rush Bellow.
Oh yeah, we saw Tommy in his drip tide outfit, which was awesome.
Drip tide was so funny.
Yeah, drip tide.
He had the best costumes.
It was so sweet. Yeah, it wasn't even in the cosplay contest, was he?
No, he was just walking around being drip tide.
Being drip tide, playing Riptide in the calling. Yeah, it was cool.
He's so drippy.
Yeah, he's just so drippy. He had the big chain. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, there was tons of people who knew our podcast. As a matter of fact, there's apparently a new online store starting called Banish Zone, and they were wearing their own shirts.
Yeah, a couple people were like, "Oh, I saw Banish Zone shirts," and I was like, "Oh, that's not ours.
We didn't make shirts.
We didn't make them, so I don't know what it was.
It wasn't us.
Yeah.
But happy to share the name with them. Who cares?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do a little collaborative sponsoring or something.
Sounds good to me.
We talked to them. I played a blitz round with one of the women from the store.
Yeah.
They don't even have Twitter, so I don't even really know how to contact them.
Oh yeah. They're lost in the ether.
But no, just so fun to meet so many people, hang out with Paul and
yeah. I almost wish I had more time because I was like
Sloop, Wes, and Andromeda.
We talked to Sloop. I talked to Sloop.
They were great people.
Sloop is a very nice dude. Yeah, I wish I'd had more time to run into people. I felt like I was recognizing people from Twitter a little bit as I was rushing to the bathroom and then back to my next match.
Well, I feel like Chris is a little bit harder to recognize than me.
Right.
I'm sort of unique looking at this kind of event.
You're one of 30 to 50 women in the room.
Sure.
I'm one of 700 white guys with glasses in the room.
Cool.
There's a little harder to recognize.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sorry to anyone that we listens to our podcast that I couldn't say hi to. I sort of run into a few of the card guys just while playing. I sat next to Nathan in a round in the calling. So
I wanted to say hi to Nathan because I played his Briar deck in ProQuest and that was a lot of fun. I didn't even see Zach Bunn.
I think I saw him playing in the top 8 of the calling after he topped the calling with Viserai.
I was really happy to meet Roger.
Oh yeah,
with Roger.
I got to say hi to Roger as they were leaving for the airport. So sorry we couldn't have a conversation, Roger, but it was nice to meet you.
I'm gonna forget. It's funny because it's I'm gonna forget the people I did meet, and I was bummed to not be able to hang out with all the people I didn't hang out with. Carolina I met, and Mara, hung out with Mara a bit.
Mara's great.
But she was busy with
almost winning the
top
Pro Tour.
twoing the calling.
The Pro Tour.
Ashley from Twitter, Michael, Mason, lots of people.
Erica from our Discord.
Datweezy from our Discord. Great to meet everybody. So it was just this really beautiful kind of family reunion kind of event where it's just you get to spot people for a couple seconds, give them a hug, say hi. They're running off to their event, you're trying to win the golden silver bombs. Run into people whose YouTube videos you've seen and be like, oh hey, I've watched your videos, they're cool, how is your calling, how is your Pro Tour, whatever. I got to talk to Yanji for a second. We hang out in the store sometimes. I saw Yanji at the last round of the calling. I think he was also in a win and in for day 2 playing Lexi. I didn't even say hi to Michael because he was so busy winning the Pro Tour. I think we said hi. We said congrats when he made top 8. We saw him once, but we really we did, but we didn't have a chance to talk to him because he was just hi to Brody, Pro Tour all day. Said hi to all the nice people. So it's just a really fun thing. If you can ever go to one of these things, if they ever come to your town, highly recommend you go to these things because they're beautifully organized at this point. It's just the funnest time. And this was also great because over the years I've gotten more friends into it. David Citrick was there. Alex Patak we drove up with Alex and went down with Citrick. All the people from our team were there. All the Action City people.
Yeah.
All the East Strikes.
Other New York people were there. Yeah.
It was great. It was so good. So I had a great time. I didn't win the UPF, but I did get pretty close.
Yeah. What else did you play? You played some like sealed side events and the
I played a Shapeshifter sealed. I played. That's the cool. The side events are so fun.
There's so many great side events.
The Shapeshifter sealed this year was 2 packs of each of these.
Okay.
Get this: Dynasty,
sure.
Uprising,
sure.
History pack,
okay,
and Everfest.
Oh, so 3 like supplemental / non-draftable sets, and then Uprising.
Yes.
And then you can run anything, huh?
You can be any hero from any of those sets.
Damn.
That is a token. So you can't play any of the Crucible heroes unless you pull them.
Right. Pull a common.
Which I pulled a Kasai, but it didn't seem like the right move.
Yeah, unless you have swords to play.
Out of all 6 packs, or 8 packs, I should say, I got 2 pieces of armor.
Wow. Okay.
Which is so annoying.
Not so good.
But I ended up being an Icelander.
That sounds fun.
But apparently the sealed meta is basically beat Kodachi Dori.
Yeah.
And everybody does that.
That's what everyone does, yeah.
It's Kodachi.
Especially because if you can run any card, you can be like, here, I got a bunch of different 0-cost blues, and I'll just run those and do Kodachis 3 times.
Right.
And ping people to death. Unless somebody got...
It's a weird format, but I think it's really fun, and they keep making it... It seems like somebody at LSS is like, what if I do this? What if we do this? This would be fun.
Like brewing up different versions.
It's not just always like, whatever. You know, they're not doing it just for whatever. Like, they're doing it to be fun, and every side event is fun.
Yeah, that one seems cool because it's like there's weird rules interactions that can happen that like you'd never have to think about otherwise. Like if you're Icelander and you have a Kodachi and then your opponent is Fi and they have like a shield or something, and just like all these situations you would like never normally have to think of, like now can come up in the rules. Right.
And if we weren't clear, I'm sure you know by now, Michael Fang won the Pro Tour, our local friend.
On his damn backup deck.
On his damn backup deck. It's a beautiful story. You should watch his interview with Brian.
I think it's with Tannen.
It's with Tannen.
Yeah.
He wasn't even sure if he was going to make it. He was in Spain with his wife. And then Brody was like, ooh, I forgot my Lexi deck.
All right, well, Brody was like, actually, I want to play Lexi. And I didn't bring the deck. And I think Michael also said that like Brody was going to play Oldham. I was asking him for like tips. And he was like, Brody, this is like Oldham 101. If you don't know this stuff, you shouldn't be playing Oldham in the Pro Tour.
Right.
So they swapped decks and then both ended up making top 8 on those decks.
Really cool story. Really great for Michael. He definitely deserves it. He's one of the best players I've ever played.
He's he's
fucking insane.
He's one of the most dedicated players.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know.
He's very humble, like all the best Flesh and Blood players.
Yeah.
But he's just like far and away. Like he just feels like
it's like he never stops grinding at the game, never stops getting better.
Yeah.
Never stops improving. And always humble, always talking about like all the luck that brought him there, all the like bad decisions he made that didn't get punished, whatever. Like it's how he is to play at armories and stuff too. Like
sweet guy,
he'll
funny
win
guy.
And he's like, I made this mistake, I made that mistake, I got lucky when you had this.
We'll always help you getting weird product that you can't get.
True.
Very, very happy for him. Beautiful thing. The ceremony was great. He got a big check. He got the big spider check.
It's very cool for this game. Like more and more you have these big events, and it's like the people that win or top them are like the people that consistently top them, and the really good players really consistently top them. It's like even though it's a card game and it comes down to like which cards you draw and how you shuffle and how the dice roll, and like there's a lot of randomness, but it clearly has a lot of skill expression that can get past the randomness and like get the better player to a win in almost every game, which is really cool because it means if you want to become the better player, you can win every game if you want to.
You just gotta put in the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a really great time. I don't know how many times I want to say that. It was great.
Yeah. It was also like the whole weekend from like the Pro Tour to our like personal experience and like our friends. It was really interesting because it's like I feel like in this game a lot of times people view it as like it's so meta based, and like if you're not playing the best deck, especially when there's decks like Starvo where it's like
sure
if you weren't playing Starvo or Chain or maybe Prism, what are you even doing? There's no way you'll win the Pro Tour. And right now, it's like the meta is a little more balanced. There's decks like Lexi and Azalea and Oldhim that are clearly very, very strong. But we saw a lot of people do well with like weird choices that were kind of decks that they were comfortable on and knew how to play and like had some kind of plan for the meta. Like our friend Brad was he was learning Azalea for a while. A week ago, he was like, Chris, how do I play Lexi? I think I'm going to try to get a New Horizon and play Lexi because this deck looks so good. And then he was like, you know what? I'm just going to play Fi. I'm comfortable on Fi. I can tweak it to be okay in the meta. I'll dodge Rangers, whatever. And then ended up going 7-1 on day 1 and made day 2. He ended up 10-3 like Alex, I think, or
I think
something
he was like Alex,
something like that.
A little lower. He didn't make top 32, but
yeah, he got a little money, but less than Alex did. But
he was definitely top 64
for sure,
which was his goal.
There was that. There was our friend Alex bringing Rhinar, like we said, and even he was before the calling. He was like, I'm going to build it to be value Rhinar, and then he was like, I'm not good at that version of the deck. I haven't practiced it. So I'm going to bring the version I practiced with. And that's the one he went 10-3 with. Mara continues to bring Dromai and clearly has, a ton of practice and a ton of love for that deck. And it's the one she feels comfortable playing. Michael played Oldhim. I was playing Lexi and it felt like my past experience with Lexi helped a lot. I don't know. It just felt like it's so cool because the game is like both. It rewards picking a really strong deck and good cards and like having a plan.
Zach Bunn top 8 at the fucking calling with Viscerai. With Trump era Viscerai.
I love that description. I mean, I guess the Crown of Dominion for the gold token is the one difference, but
that's it's funny because I should have recognized how crazy that was considering how Bloodsheath Skeleton turns usually work. But like that means you can have a turn with 6 cards. Yeah. And 6 cards in Viscerai is broken.
Right.
It's crazy.
6 cards and you've already played a non-attack action.
Yeah.
Because it's like 5, right? You have 4, you play the cash in and then draw 2 cards, so you go to 5. Or you kind of
have Arsenal.
Arsenal, sure, yeah, 6 cards. And then you've played a non-attack, so now you're making a bunch of rune chants. Yeah, it's a sweet deck.
It's crazy.
Yanji and I think Brody maybe both brought it to the Auckland calling and did pretty well, like just kind of missed the top. Yeah, it was really interesting because there's like you could sort of see the way like the meta shifting rapidly can like suddenly make decks that people had written off very viable.
Right.
Because it was like before this event, everyone was like, okay, Azalea is really good. Everyone should play Oldhim to beat Azalea. And actually Oldhim is the best deck. And people were like, well, I'm going to bring Dromai. Dromai is good into Oldhim and good into Ranger. And I felt like people had sort of underestimated Lexi until like a week ago. And everyone was like, shit, I think actually Lexi is the best deck. I think she's the better Ranger deck because she has a better Oldhim matchup. I think she has a good Dromai matchup.
Yeah, and I get why people like it this way, where it's like the set comes out and then immediately, like within the month, like a huge event happens because there's like so much scrambling.
It's so fun.
So much stress.
Yeah.
And people complain about it. They're like, what is the meta? I don't know.
Yeah, it's very theoretical. I remember Brendan saying that on Arsenal Pass, that there's like a couple tournaments where it's like Azalea won, so is she the best deck or we're not?
Yeah, I wish I could compliment the casters. I'm sure they all did a fantastic job.
But we barely watched
didn't watch it.
Of the coverage.
I mean, I watched literally all I've seen is the last game of Mara and was Brendan and Brian commentating that. It was cool. It was very good. But
yeah, it was just interesting how much like the meta shifts and it's like, okay, now Lexi is the best deck, Azalea is good. Oldhim decks, like Oldhim and Bravo, are like, all right, we got to completely change to target Ranger. And then that means that people like who brought Fi or who brought Viscerai, suddenly Oldhim is like, oh shit, I'm not teched for Viscerai at all. And then Viscerai can just like run over him. Even Lexi's, it's like, Lexi is a really bad matchup for Fi and Viscerai if it's Ice Lexi. But if it's Fuseless with a little ice, then it's more of an aggro race. And then you can definitely get the win if you're just racing. Fi and Viscerai love races. Even a dash won the calling. I think. Oh yeah. Built to like kind of target Oldhim, not Tree Frog, but just like a regular mid-range like hybrid dash.
Dave Lynn was on what?
Oldhim. Yeah, I think he lost to the dash that won the calling in the top 8.
No way, really?
I think so. Yeah, because he beat Lexi.
He didn't day 2 the Pro Tour?
I guess not. Maybe he day 2, but was not live for top 8.
I love Dave Lynn.
Dave is a great guy.
He's the best guy.
This is Dave.
This is Dave. I love he's becoming a meme. He's the funniest guy to become a meme. That's great. Love Dave Lynn.
But yeah, that was another example. Like, everyone was talking about how good these new heroes and cards are, and Codex of Frailty should be banned. And then Codex of Frailty does not win any event. Stormstriders wins the Battle Hardened.
No Azalea in the top 8.
Oldhim wins the Battle Hardened or the Pro Tour.
Pro Tour. Yeah.
There was one Azalea. Michael.
There was?
Yeah, there was an Azalea.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
Yeah, I think Michael Feng paired into them in top 8. He got lucky and dodged all the Lexis in top 8, which feels so weird to say still that like Oldham wants to dodge Lexi, but I think it's just the nature of the matchup now. It's like really hard for Oldham, and they
keep up.
They die. Yeah, they leak enough damage and they die.
That's what happens.
But yeah, it's funny that after all that, like a Dash won the calling, an Oldham won the Pro Tour. Icelander was the expected winner of the Battle Hardened. Although a Prism got to the finals. Someone built a Prism to like target all the Icelander.
There you go.
And almost won.
It's only going to get better. Flesh and Blood is such a great place right now.
Yeah, massive turnout for like everything, like side events, artists, Pro Tour, calling, Battle Hardened.
Yeah. And it's their 10th set. And we watched a bunch of new spoilers. We actually haven't barely it's so hard to talk about because we don't feel like competing with the sort of like people who are posting videos just to post videos. Like, love all of those people who do those things. I do watch them and just like, read me the article. Sure. They're just making content, but it's like, you know what happened. Like we
have Vincent, the new Runeblade.
Mr. Vincent.
Ms. Vincent.
Beautiful Mr. Vincent. She's very cute. I love her. I want to play her. Very badly.
Yeah.
I don't even know what she does, but I'm definitely into opening rift gates or whatever the fuck.
Rune gating, I think is what it's called.
I can't wait to be rune gating.
Yeah. This set is a I mean, not just that it's the 10th set, but this is like a very, very pivotal moment for the game because the whole idea.
I feel like we said that about Outsiders too, and it's true.
I know.
It was also. I feel like it's all going to be pivotal. Yeah.
It's all kind of pivotal.
But there's no failing for them. They're just doing so well.
Yeah. The thing I'm really curious about in this set is the whole concept of living legend is like, okay, we have heroes, and eventually if they do well enough, they're gone. They had a card pool, which some of those cards you can't play now if there's only one Shadow Runeblade. But hey, we print a new one. You can use those cards again. So, I don't know, considering how, especially with heroes like Chain, where like the cards are very based around playing from the Banished Zone and making soul shackles and whatever.
I see what you're saying.
I'm curious what the design process is for like Chain hit Living Legend last year. They had to figure out when are we putting out the new one, and then Prism also Living Legend. So like the way that they introduce new versions of these existing class and talents and like revitalize. And
how good those cards actually feel in these new ones.
Totally. Yeah. It's a very like make or break kind of moment because it's like for certain people, like not really for people like us who play different decks.
I'm gonna like it.
We adapt.
I'm gonna like it no matter what it is.
Totally.
Honestly, I'm a little piggy for this game at this point. I want to revel in the slop.
And if you're like a Prism head and you're like, if it doesn't,
but I will criticize if it's bad.
Because this is the way that they make like the old cards relevant and keep the format eternal, and you know, it matters that the new heroes are balanced to some degree. Like they have to be playable but not broken. So I'm really curious like how they're approaching.
Well, it's funny in the Q&A, which you should watch by the way if you haven't watched it. It's on Mansant's channel. Ethan, oh man, thank you for the pin, the Leviathan, beautiful stuff.
I talked to Ethan a little bit during the Battle Hardened. Very nice guy.
He filmed the
a real mensch.
Just a mensch. He filmed the James White Q&A, and someone asked him, like, they
asked if Spectra was going to be in Dusk Till Dawn.
I don't actually remember what he was referring to, but James White was like, you know, Outsiders, solid set, but we played it pretty safe.
Oh, I think he was talking about like the Marvels and the like what the art kind of cards would be in the set when he was saying this. Because there's going to be 8 Marvels, I think, or 10. I think 8 Marvels.
I thought he was talking about power level a little bit.
He might have been. Hey, but he's definitely talking about like the weird, like there's going to be like, I think this is included in the boxes, like 1 of 10 hand-drawn like art cards.
I'm really confused.
Of Prism and Chain.
Just in case we haven't really been clear here, we're talking about the new set that was announced a little while before the Pro Tour, and then more information came out. It's called Dusk Till Dawn. It comes out in July.
It's
July?
I think July.
I think it comes out in July.
Part of a trilogy called War of the Monarch or whatever.
Yeah, it's Monarch 2.
Yeah.
The expansion set. And it is going to have new adult Prism, new young Prism. Yeah. Both have names. One is one is
Advent of Thrones is the young one. And Awakener of Soul is the new adult one.
And then there's also Vincent, who we are going to continually to call Vincent because it's funny.
Yeah, that one is, there's young, but it's just Vincent, and then there's an adult. I don't know if they have a title, but they are clearly like the same hero power.
They're Shadow Runeblade.
Yeah, new Shadow Runeblade for young and adult, which is interesting because now we'll have 2 in Blitz because Chain is still around until he LLs.
Yeah, who cares?
But that's good. I mean, it means that like is ready for Chain to LL and those cards to still be playable.
And then who knows what else it's going to have in it. But they did say there's going to be 10 hand-drawn, serialized cold foil something.
Artist-proof things? Because
it's very unclear. Are those the Marvels?
No, I think there's separate Marvels. I believe, because I think there's 8 angels in the set, like archangels. So my theory is that 8 of the Marvels are the 8 angels, and then there's 2 more, maybe like legendary equipments that are Marvel. Imagine if they made Marvel Phantasmal Footsteps, like they reprint it.
Fuck that. I don't want that.
I don't want it.
What's the Fabled?
People will. Oh, what's the Fabled?
Maybe it's Footsteps as the Fabled.
Fabled Footsteps? That'd be funny. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that'd be interesting. What if supplemental sets, expansion sets, is when they do the like reprint Fables, and then draftable sets when they do the playable like new Fables?
E-Strike would make sense here. But I don't. Personally, I don't really care about that. I don't like those Fables. I don't ever need them. I
like the cool Fables.
I like the Fables that you actually want to play.
Yeah, wow, Bryn, I can't believe you want to price everyone out of the game and pay to win.
I don't care.
Yeah, I like it. They're sweet because they're sweet to open. If you just open an E-Strike and it's like, oh, it's like a different view of the guy throwing the lightning bolts. It's cold foil. It's worth $300. Cool.
Wow, I'll sell it.
It kind of just feels like opening some money, which is cool. Like
it's great to win
if
money.
If $100 bill fell out of my pack, it'd be cool. But like a Plague Hive is a Plague Hive. It can do the Plague Hive thing, and you can put it in your draft deck if you get a rainbow foil.
It's crazy. It's
fun
fucking
to play with.
Crazy in UPF. One thing I wanted to say is that I am not too much of a spike, but I do want to win.
Yeah.
UPF has always kind of seemed a bit silly to me, where it's like you're not expected to want to win or something.
Well, you can't just win by playing well because people can gang up on you, right? Like it's a social game too. So what I want to say is that it's still very technical, and there's still a lot of interesting rules interactions. There's still a lot of weird combo type things you can do. Okay.
And it's still Flesh and Blood, and it was way more fun than I thought it would be.
Nice.
And I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend, even if you have never thought, you were like, whatever, UPF. Like, if you can figure out how to play UPF with a group of people, read up on it, because it's no fun to just bring your Blitz deck and then just like 4 people try to hit each other.
Right.
It's more fun to be like, what kind of insane shit can I do that is actually good in UPF? That's what's fun with. So like
that was your whole deck plan, was like a weird fatigue life gain deck that would stick around.
Right. Stuff that wouldn't actually work, I guess, although it did kind of work in the Blitz Battle Hardened.
Oh yeah, I did see somebody who was playing Fatigue Yoji, who was, I think at 6-1. I don't think he ended up making the top 8. So he must have gotten another loss.
Right.
Yeah, he was fatiguing out Icelanders, which is why I put Frostex on my deck, because I was like, if I don't have Frostex, I am vulnerable to a Fatigue Guardian strategy.
You got 1?
I have 2.
So, it's a really interesting format, and I think it's getting to a point where there's enough weird ideas in it. I bought a Shiana.
Because Shiana's fun in UPF.
From Mr. Viz, Gary, just because I had so much fun playing UPF.
Yeah.
And one of the people who won in my third table was Shiana, and it was really powerful.
She's like the most sneaky, because you don't actually know what the deck's gonna do until she starts doing stuff.
It's really cool.
Yeah. And like you were saying, you can copy anyone around you, so you can be a different hero at different times for different reasons.
Right. At the start of your turn,
yeah,
depending on the turn. So it can be really interesting. And I also want to just recommend that it is very fun, and it has a really interesting type of puzzles to solve. And you can deck build in really different ways.
Yeah.
So I like that. But
also no ban list and no LL, so you can play Viscerai, you can play Seeds Chain.
You can play Broken Viscerai.
Yeah. The only thing you can't play, I think, in the entire game is Starvo, because he's the only adult-only hero.
Yeah.
So Play anything else you want. Yeah.
No Starvo.
We don't talk about it.
We do not talk about Starvo. Yeah. So yeah, it was so Dusk Till Dawn is going to be their new set, and I just don't understand what these. Is it only 10 cards? Is it like the One Ring, or is it?
I think it's that rare. That's my understanding. That there's
I thought
10 of them.
I don't know if I think that. I thought there was 10 different things that are gonna be. I don't think they're like literally hand drawn.
It's possible they're not like hand drawn.
It's not like a piece of paper.
Yeah, maybe it's like
hand drawing on it.
They drew it and then printed 10 of them. I mean, but if it is literally 10 cards, I don't see why it couldn't be. Because didn't he say 1 of 10 serialized? That sounds to me like there are literally 10 of each one.
I was really confused about what he said and how, like, the way he said it. There's like at the banquet, which is also posted online. He like shows, he's like serialized cold foil, but it's like, if they're cold foil, is it drawn on the back?
That's a good question.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Where's the drawing? Yeah, maybe it's like a new version of the art, and then it's like that's printed on a cold foiled card, of which there are 10 copies. Yeah, I'm
pretty confused about what it's actually going to mean and what it's actually going to look like.
It's a little unclear, but I think my feeling is that it's going to be 1 ring level of rare, or like 10 ring or whatever. There's 10 of them.
And they're only in America and Brazil and Europe.
Oh, yeah, because it's only like Cardamundi or whatever can do this kind of thing, or is the theory? Or
I guess they don't have the Japanese printers up to this level. Again, no paper packs for Japan, for the Japan printings.
Is that so?
Well, they didn't show the little sticker.
Sure, they didn't promise paper, so they haven't gotten there yet.
That's, once again, they're probably don't have the Japanese printer up and running. It'll probably be for the next set.
Yeah, hopefully.
It'll all be paper. Hopefully.
Do you think that's the All Arcane set? The next set?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, I think Red Zone Rogue Mr. Kell is probably right. I think
that it's Mysteria.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be. I don't think they like to change it up. They like to surprise, but they also like to give hints. And I think it'll probably be called Transcendence, like he says.
I think it'd be cool. It's a good name for it.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what that'll mean. I don't know anything else, but I do think that's probably right.
Yeah.
Of course, it could be anything else.
We could just go to metrics. I don't really know.
That could be 2 sets from now or 3 sets from now. Maybe it's a hint really far in the future. Maybe there's another hint that no one noticed from Arcane. That's so no idea. But
playable Lignabelle is still coming. I still believe in potion. What was it going to be?
The Alchemist.
Alchemist. Yeah. Potion
Maybe
master.
We'll get a cleric finally in Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah. It'll be the most toxic fatigue deck known to Flesh and Blood. It'll make Oldham look like a joke. Just gain life forever.
But a lot of that stuff that quote unquote leaked from the organized play stuff is like slowly starting to come out again officially.
Yeah.
So you've got like the Berserk Eclipse moment. You've got like the new that Herald with a skull.
Herald of Rebirth, I think. It's like the Archangel art on a mat for the Calling Birmingham.
Yeah.
Just got released.
She's got a skull. Lots of really cool stuff is coming. The game is just on such an upward peak.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. We're all very excited.
Not a peak, an upward trend. It's not peaking.
Sorry, it's no peak.
It hasn't even begun to peak.
When it peaks, you'll feel it. Yeah, so it was great. It's been a great time. We're all very excited. I think that's all we have to say. I mean, it feels like we could talk for another hour, but I don't want to because I want to go draft tonight.
Well, yeah, we got a little draft to get to.
This is how fucked up it is. You go all weekend. You go become exhausted. You play Flesh and Blood all weekend. You see all your friends. Monday, what'd you do?
Went to an armory.
You went to an armory.
Last chance to play Blitz Icelander. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that even on like Saturday night or whatever, or like Friday night, I think. Friday morning, we go play side events. We get back to our Airbnb. We're all exhausted, but we're like, who wants to play some CC games? And people were like jamming games.
People were like, all right, we got to do it.
Drinking and smoking weed and jamming games. And I was like writing out my deck list. And like, it feels like you could just, once you get going, you could just play it all day.
Yeah. So we're going to go do that. There's so much more to say, but we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll bring up more next time. That stuff we remembered that we didn't talk about this week.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Again, I'm Bryn. That's Chris. I'm at Banished Zone on Twitter. Chris is at Blue Plunder Run.
She got the name of the podcast because she made the Twitter account first.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Please subscribe. You there?
Thumbs up. whatever.
Subscribe, like.
You don't need the bell. The bell. I don't get why you need the bell.
I don't give a shit.
I think you're an
bell.
adult. You know how to subscribe and watch a video. It's fine. You don't need to have a bell ringing to tell you.
Don't take that shit off of your
don't
phone.
do that. It's
don't bell
up.
anybody. But do subscribe, like, and comment on the video. It really helps people. I think it helps make it in the algorithm.
People who like Flesh and
watch
Blood.
it.
Yeah.
So definitely comment. Let us know what you want to see from us. What you want, if you want any bonus content or contests.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. We just like talking. We
might see you later tonight, or we'll see you in the past your time, because we might stream a little box opening at the Armory.
Yeah, we're going to continue the box openings. Sorry that the quality of the last box opening at the Pro Tour wasn't super good.
Oh yeah.
We brought so much stuff to make it good, and then completely failed to do anything.
It was just like too packed away,
and
we were too exhausted. None of our shit was charged. It was just like, whatever. Let's just turn the phone on and do it.
But thanks so much for watching. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Until next time, you're banished.
You're banished.